I think I've reviewed like 6 films, and 2 of them have been Zac Efron films. I swear this isn't intentional. I did not do this on purpose. The Iron Claw just came to Amazon Prime. And I wanted to give this one shot because, you know, it's A24 and I like A24 and I like the trailers. And based off of the trailers, I kind of had an idea of what this film was going to be. And I kind of, honestly, I want Zac Efron to have the Robert Pattinson effect. I want him to, you know, he was in these goofy movies and then he did The Lighthouse and Tenet and Batman, and suddenly, you know, he's a revered actor. And this is what I want from Zac. So I wanted to give this film a shot. I wanted to, you know, see what it was, and I had a very firm idea of what this movie was going to be based off of the trailers. I was wrong. I was completely wrong about this film. I had no idea going into it. This is a far more somber experience than I thought. It's a lot more thought-provoking, a lot more emotional than I expected. And it's not the movie that I thought it would be. My favorite thing about this film is that it feels like an anti-biopic, and this may sound like a weird thing to say, but I really do stand by this, because we're flooded with biopics at the moment. There are tons of them, and biopics follow the same basic formula of choose a person, a character in history, find an event that was tremendously important, suck their dick throughout the entire film, and then make the event itself as spectacular as possible. We've seen this in every single biopic, with the exception of a couple maybe. With Iron Claw, it really feels as though the director intentionally wanted to do the opposite of that. So you were introduced to Zac Efron's character, and you know, it's like, this is what it's going to be based on. But then you're introduced to his brothers as well, and the film kind of tells you, like, okay, well, actually, these guys are just as important as him, but we're going to kind of focus on this guy. And then he does lead up to moments. The film does lead up to moments in his career that are tremendously important. But every single event, every single one, is visually omitted. You do not see the events that this film are leading up to. None of them are shown. They're all shown in like this... None of them are shown, they're all shown. They're all displayed in this like diegetic way where you know what's happened, you know that they've experienced it, but they're not going to show you it. It's effect rather than cause and effect. There is no cause, it's just effect. Now this will be a little bit blue ballsy for some people watching this film, and for some people they're not going to like it. They're going to come away from it thinking that felt wholly unsatisfying because I didn't actually see the events that the film was leading up to. But what the film is allowed to do in not showing you these events is focus heavily on the effect rather than spending time on the cause as well. You think about how much time is spent in Bohemian Rhapsody on the concert, in Oppenheimer on the bomb, even though that film focuses a lot on characters as well. This film is about characters and how they respond to things. The film overall, honestly, I would describe as a very much far softer edge version of Whiplash, where the film largely is not about wrestling. It's not about wrestling events. It's not about dudes and dudes being dudes and guys.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
It's about a father who pressures their sons due to his insatiable obsession with living vicariously through them, and grasping every glimmer of hope that he would be able to access the ability to live vicariously through them, and that obsession leading to turmoil. And in doing so, it's best to just focus on that and focus on how that affects the characters, and not, oh, this is a couple of guys punching each other, but like, this is what happened after the guys punched each other, and this is what it did to the characters. This is a character piece. It's all about characters and what happens to them, and I love that. I love that the director had the balls to do this and didn't just suck the dick's character and then suck the character's dick throughout the whole of the film, and then, you know, show this grandiose glorified event. I'm so glad that the director opted not to do that and just showed us how everything affects everyone. My second favorite thing about the film is the visual language. I think it's a brilliant film in terms of presentation. I've said this many times, I'm not a huge fan of messing around with the aspect ratio, but I think it works here. And I think there's a great blend of like modern cinematography and, you know, old-fashioned aesthetics here. It's a 70s piece, a lot of browns, a lot of focus on like sweaty dudes and locker rooms and stuff like that, but it's nailed. maybe that's not the right terminology to use in the context, but it's done tremendously well, and I think the visual language of this film is expertly done. I think the thing that I like the third most is that theming, is that you really do get a sense that it's all about this obsession, and you really come away feeling for the characters. You feel for every character, and everything feels very important. And despite the fact that everything is quite slight and subtle and gentle, everything does carry a lot of weight with it, and I think that's very effective. The characters themselves. Okay, so this is when we get into the negatives, and I'm not saying that the characters themselves are bad. I think they're pretty good, but I will say that for such a character-heavy film, I wouldn't say it has the sharpest dialogue. That being said, I do understand these are people in the 70s who lived in the Deep South, who are wrestlers. I don't want to elaborate for risk of offending anyone, but I think you know where I'm going with that. But there are some things that, like, there's brushing over things for the importance of, effect over cause, and then there's like interactions that don't really go anywhere. And I will say, though I think most of the performances are pretty good, Zach's love interest character, I'm sorry, I've seen her in a few things. I'm not quite sure what the actress's name is, but she's not that great. Zach, I can't figure out how I feel about his performance. I don't know. I feel like sometimes it's pretty good, and then other times it's a little bit wooden, but was it supposed to be wooden? I can't really figure this guy out, and I don't know how I feel about his performance. Jeremy Allen White is probably the strongest performance in this film. Very good, very, very good, and very convincing. He goes through a lot, and you really feel that. So overall, the writing and performances, they're not stellar. They're not as good as the overall theming and the overall storytelling, but it's still not bad. But that's about it in terms of like issues that I have with the film. Aside from that, I mean, yeah, look, I'm not going to give it a 10 out of 10 because I don't think it's universal. I don't think everyone would like it. I think a lot of people, if this catches a lot of views, will go, "You're crazy, man. I found it boring." I think the leading issue people are going to have with it is they're going to say that it's boring, which I personally don't agree with, but that's, it's just not how I felt about the film. I think people are going to come away from it just like, oh, no, I just don't get it. So it's not very universal, and I don't think it's for everyone. So here's my score. So that's what I think, and I think that's a very strong score. So far I'm thinking 8, and I think it deserves it. I definitely came away from this film thinking this is a good movie, and that's still how I feel. Also, I'm on the floor right now, so I'll see you later.
The PlayStation is only $149, and you can also get leading titles